Hello again, Internet, 60x Self, and welcome to another episode of 60 Talks a Whole Bunch Without His Face Being There. Today we're going to play The Uncle Who Works for Nintendo again. Last time we ran into some trouble with death. I have some ideas about where we can go from here, but before we get too far, today's question of the day is, do you like corn? The band. I am wearing this to represent for Mr. Christian Slater, who was curious if I did like corn. Apparently there's folk out there who are embarrassed about liking corn, which is silly. Like what you're gonna like. Don't worry about embarrassing. You know what else I love? The Spice Girls, like a whole lot. Like you have no idea my love for the Spice Girls. That's neither here nor there. If you do like corn, what's your favorite album? For me, I really like that dubstep album, but I will always have a special place in my heart for the first one. That first album is so good. Let's get into this point and click adventure game. Again, there's going to be a link in the description below if you would like to go play it for yourself. If not, well, enjoy watching me play, and let's get started. Okay, so this time we're gonna try it a little different. So let's start over straight from the beginning. You are 11 years old. What is your best friend's name? I had a friend named Michael. Your best friend Michael has invited you to a sleepover at his house this weekend. You've been friends since first grade, so asking your mom is basically only a formality. I might skip a little bit. On a Friday night, you're home for only a few hours. At 6 sharp, you're standing on the sidewalk outside Michael's house while your mom idles in her car nearby. She leans out the window. You behave yourself, okay? She says, as always. Yes, Mom. I'll pick you up tomorrow at 3. But then she pauses, looking up at the sky. If you play outside, she adds, be careful. It's probably gonna rain. Kiss Mom goodbye. After you part, your mom drives down the street, disappearing around the corner. You turn back to Michael's house. Head inside. It is 6 p.m. Michael's mom meets you just inside. Hello, she says. Dinner will be ready in just a few minutes, but you can drop stuff off in the den. Nod and go to the den. You drop your sleeping bag and overnight bags in the corner of the den and then pause to look around. Sometimes it makes you uncomfortable how much nicer Michael's house is than yours. Anyway, are you ready for dinner? Michael asks. Sure. Dinner passes quickly. Tonight's meal is spaghetti and meatballs. Michael's father cracks a beer and jovially interrogates you about how much trouble you and Michael are getting into at school. Dessert is heaping bowls of ice cream drizzled in chocolate sauce. The grandfather clock in the den chimes. You go along now, says Michael's mom, smiling from her side of the table. Let's go get the TV ready, says Michael. Michael's room is immense. We'll take the 64 down first, says Michael. It's his prerogative, of course. You catch sight of the other things Michael has. All the major stuff, an old SNES, a PlayStation, a Dreamcast, but some other things too, things you don't really recognize. Those look cool. Michael looks to the clutter in the cabinet. Oh yeah, he says, they're pretty cool. I can't show them to you, though. They're still a secret. I promised my uncle. Of course, you suddenly remember his uncle. The uncle who works for Nintendo. In the corner, the grandfather clock is ticking softly. Through a nearby set of patio doors, you can see it's getting quite dark. Framed pictures line the walls. Michael is parked in front of the large TV playing something on the Nintendo 64. Talk to Michael. What would you like to talk about? School. You begin by talking about a mutual acquaintance who moved away, but Michael quickly changes the topic. An hour passes. The clock chimes. You are in the den. Think about Michael's uncle. It began with Mew. You didn't believe him at first, when Michael came to school one day and told you he had finally caught Mew. Prove it, you said. So he pulled out his Game Boy and showed you. There it was, Mew. It's really strong, he said. Michael demonstrated this claim at recess, when you and some other friends linked Game Boys to do battle. You asked how Michael managed to get it. Oh, my uncle got a job at Nintendo, said Michael. You were walking home together past one of the construction crews. Michael still lived next door to you at the time. Oh. He also got me this new Game Boy, said Michael. This one's a special edition, said Michael. Isn't it cool? You agreed. You snap out of your reflections. It's 8:30. Talk to Michael. Talk to Michael about games. You recount some rumors you read about the new Nintendo console. Michael informs you he has a prototype upstairs you can play later. When you ask why not now, he says he is too busy playing the 64. An hour passes. The clock chimes. You are in the den. Michael's mother bustles into the room holding a large ceramic bowl filled with popcorn under her arm. How are you kids doing? Good, says Michael. I hope you're having fun. Here's some popcorn. She places it on the floor by Michael. Almost immediately, Michael is shoveling popcorn into his mouth. Meanwhile, his mother smiles first at him, then back at you. There's sodas in the kitchen if you get thirsty, she says, and some pizza from the other night if you get hungry. You nod silently. She looks at Michael. Your father's gone to bed. I'll be there soon, myself. I want you two to keep it quiet, all right? Yes, Mom, Michael says tiredly. Oh, and before I forget, she adds, your uncle called. He suddenly has some business here in town tomorrow, but he's driving in early. He'll be here around midnight. For the first time, Michael stops playing his game, stops eating popcorn, and turns to look at his mother. Okay, he says. I want you two to welcome him in. He'll be very tired and very hungry, so offer him something to eat before he goes to bed. Okay, Mom. Good night, kids. And with that, she's gone. Ask about Uncle's visit. Your uncle stays with you when he visits? Yeah, says Michael nonchalantly. He lives pretty far away, and so he just drops by. Isn't that a little weird? Michael gives you a look you don't like very much. How would you know? He asks. You don't even have an uncle. Yeah, I guess so. You drop the conversation in silence. It's 9:30. Watch Michael play. Michael takes charge of the console again. Watch this, he says. On screen, Link is in the Temple of Time. Michael heads to a corner of the map and, after walking back and forth for a few seconds, phases through the wall. I found this the other day, says Michael, running his avatar through a huge room with arched ceilings. What are you going to do with it, you ask? Michael doesn't say anything, but smiles as Link reaches the end of the room and stops in front of the shining, golden light of the Triforce. No way! Link saunters forward and grabs the Triforce. Triumphant music and a lengthy cutscene play as Link poses with the Master Sword, which now glows gold. Now the game gets really cool, says Michael. You have unlimited bombs and arrows and can go into the past as an adult. Accordingly, he shows things off for a while. The clock chimes. You are in the den. It begins raining outside. Talk to Michael. Never mind. Ask about Uncle's visit. So why is your uncle coming? Michael shrugs. Business. But I thought he worked for Nintendo. He does, says Michael, frowning but not looking away from the TV screen. He's really important there. Does Nintendo have a lot of business here? Why else would my uncle be coming? Michael says, as if you've asked the dumbest question in the world. Well, it's cool I'll finally get to meet him. Yeah, agrees Michael. I think you'll like him. What sort of work does your uncle do? Michael pauses the game and turns towards you, visibly agitated. How should I know? I don't work for them. Right now, he is not quite yelling, but you think if you keep pressing the subject, he might. I'm not sure I believe you about your uncle. Michael takes a moment to respond, as if he is not quite sure he heard you correctly. What? I don't believe your uncle works for Nintendo. You think you've finally done it. Michael stands up, fists clenched at his sides, mouth twisting horribly as he struggles to say something. You watch as he takes a step towards you, and you clench your teeth and wait. Michael darts forward and pushes you back onto the hardwood floor, cracking your skull against the carpet. You take the initiative and throw a punch before he can go for you again. You shove yourself up off the floor and send your fist into Michael's stomach. For a moment, you're shocked at what you've done as he stands there gasping in his pajamas, but then suddenly, you hear something, or think you hear something, someone shouting, and then you've fallen flat on the floor. For a moment, you don't think you can get up. Your whole body feels heavy. Did he hit you? I hate you, says Michael. Leave me alone. You finally manage to sit up as he turns back to his game. You take a moment to collect yourself. Call your mom. Passing through the empty dining room, you enter the kitchen where the phone sits on the counter. Call Mom. You dial your mom's work number and wait. She picks up after 3 rings. Hi, Mom. Honey, she says, I'm busy. You shouldn't just be calling me at work whenever you want. Is everything okay? No, it's not okay. What? What do you mean? I got in a fight with Michael. What? You explain that you and Michael aren't getting along right now and you'd like to go home early. She listens. Something in your voice seems to give her pause. Okay, she says after a moment. I'll call the sitter and tell her to come pick you up. It'll probably be an hour. Is that okay? Yes, thank you. Of course, she says with a hint of a sigh. I'll call her now, okay? She'll be there in an hour. Be safe. She hangs up. Return to the den and pack your things. The clock chimes as you enter the den. Michael doesn't even look away from the TV as you come in. Quietly begin gathering up your things. This draws Michael's attention. What are you doing? He asks. Explain that you're leaving. What? Michael stands up, not even bothering to pause the game. No, you can't leave. It's almost time. Almost time for what? You can't go, says Michael, ignoring your question. There's so much stuff I had planned for tonight. I was going to let you play the next Zelda game, the one that's not even out yet. Before you can say anything, he's already running upstairs. Michael continually runs up and down the stairs, bringing you games and consoles while you pack up your things. Every time he presents something new, you ignore him or brush it off with an uncaring shrug. Please, Michael says, just stay. Stay the night, please. Outside, you hear a car horn honk. No, you say, and with your night bag slung over one shoulder, you march to the door and exit into the night. As you walk to the sitter's car, you see your little sister in the back seat, still in her pajamas. The sitter, a high school girl who lives down the street from you, looks incredibly unhappy to be here, but you think you'll be able to handle her. As you climb into the car, you cast one last look over your shoulder, back to the house. Michael is standing in the doorway, totally still. Not screaming, not crying, not doing much of anything. The car begins to pull away from the house, and as you watch, you see his parents appear in the doorway behind him. You wave. Without acknowledging you, Michael's parents lay their hands on his shoulders. They turn Michael back into the house, the door closing just as everything slides out of view. When you turn around in your seat to look out the back window, you can't even see the house's lights. Michael doesn't show up at school on Monday, or Tuesday, or Wednesday. On Thursday, you ask your teacher, Mr. Scott, where Michael is. He blinks at you confusedly. Oh, he says eventually. Michael, well, I'm surprised he didn't tell you about this, but he and his family moved away. The house is empty when you ride your bike by that afternoon. It somehow seems even larger without anything or anyone in it. A for sale sign stands out in the yard out front. Go home. You never see Michael again, and eventually, as the years pass, you forget about him entirely. End. The uncle who works for Nintendo. Holy crow. I didn't expect my best friend to go in such a horrific, I'm assuming, way. Maybe it wasn't horrific. I tend to assume it was horrific. So as always, if you enjoyed watching that and you look forward to more, let me know how much you love it. Comment and subscribe and a thumbs up on YouTube. Heart, retweet, and follow on Twitter. Like the page and like the post and comment on Facebook. Heart, reblog, and follow on Tumblr. And the best way, as always, that you can help me is to share this with everybody you know. Get people watching, get eyes on me, get that subscriber count up, and I will feel better about myself as a person. So if you would like to make me feel good, and why wouldn't you? Tell everyone you know, tell all your friends, share it on Facebook, on your friends' walls, on your own wall, reblog it on Tumblr, take the embed code and the link from YouTube, throw that all over the place, retweet it on Twitter, just get the word out to everyone you know. I hope you're having a good day, I hope you're having a great life, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, Internet.